Welcome to Literary Insights. This is the summary of the book, The Introvert's Way, Sophia Dembling. If you like this content, please consider subscribing and liking this video. The author identifies as an introvert. She started realizing and accepting her introversion as she learned more about it. Introversion is commonly misunderstood as shyness or antisocial behavior, but introverts need alone time to recharge. Introverts in the US face pressure to act like extroverts. Extroversion is highly valued in American culture, while introversion is seen as odd. Introverts are often told to be more social and outgoing. The author found many introverts relate to her experiences. An underground introverted community prefers deeper conversations and smaller social circles. Introverts have long believed the myth that extroversion is better. But introversion is not something that needs to be fixed. Introverts can embrace their introversion. The book aims to help introverts understand and accept their introversion. Introverts prefer one-on-one or small group interactions over large gatherings. Socializing with strangers or in big groups is draining for introverts. Introversion is not something that needs to be apologized for or changed. There are many attempts to define introversion, but no consensus. Introversion deserves to be recognized on its terms. American culture is overly loud and noisy. Introverts prefer less stimulation and reflection. Introverts have strengths that balance the rapid, noisy pace of American culture. Introverts tend to withdraw from drama and cacophony. They value peace, quiet, and solitude. While introverts can act extroverted when needed, it is draining, and they must recharge alone. Extroverts and squeaky wheels dominate society, so introverts and their contributions are often overlooked. Introverts can make their voices heard by speaking confidently about their needs and pushing back against those who shame them. While introverts may never dominate the spotlight, their voices can make an impact. Introversion and shyness are not the same. Introverts have a lower need for stimulation and interaction. Shyness implies discomfort with interaction. Introverts can be shy, but shyness is a behavior. Non-shy introverts can be sociable, but reach their limits sooner. Accepting the spotlight is a hallmark of introverts. Introversion seems an innate temperament that remains relatively consistent over life. There appear to be brain differences between introverts and extroverts that account for these tendencies, though nurture and experiences also play a role. Interaction and alone time are both critical for creativity. Alone time gives introverts space for contemplation where ideas can emerge. Introverts tend to be observant and soak in details. They can find pleasure in watching people and the world around them. This ability to be alone and observe is a strength. Introverts feel depleted by too much external stimulation. Managing energy levels by choosing social activities carefully leads to well-being. The author retreated to solitude to recharge at a social event and make new friends. Setting boundaries and knowing when to say "not my responsibility" helps introverts protect their energy. Introversion is not lacking extroversion, it has its qualities. Introverts like people, but prefer less stimulation and depth over breadth in relationships. Introverts typically dislike phones. Calls require focus, interrupt thoughts, and demand an immediate response. Introverts prefer asynchronous contact, like email. They're not less social, just selective. Studies wrongly assume introverts are less happy but use an extrovert view of happiness. Introvert happiness looks different. Researchers should avoid an extrovert bias and consider how introverts express happiness to get an accurate picture. The researcher Fleeson only used one part of happiness, positive feelings. He missed life satisfaction and the absence of negative emotions. His approach favored extrovert-style happiness. Extroverts may express themselves more significantly and not feel happier. Including introverted bliss could change results. The bottom line is introverts can be happy and social. They should stand up for their needs, set limits, and accept that some won't understand them. But with considerate communication, they can control how they spend their time and energy. Accommodating others while staying true to themselves leads to well-being. Introverts are not selfish just because they enjoy solitude and focusing on their inner world. Introversion itself does not equate to narcissism. While introverts can struggle with anxiety and self-consciousness, they are unlikely to demand attention and praise from others like overt narcissists. Studies may show extroverts as having advantages like more social and career success, but these depend significantly on cultural context. For every extrovert benefit, there are introvert strengths and ways for introverts to achieve success. Introverts may be more creative, intuitive, and thoughtful. Introverts can find fulfillment and happiness with just a few close friends. Having more friends does not necessarily mean being happier. Introvert happiness tends to be calm, peaceful, and private rather than socially focused, like extrovert happiness. Common measures of success favor extroverts, but using introvert criteria, introverts would appear more successful. For example, they value thoughtfulness over gregariousness. Introverts can struggle at parties but have coping strategies, like taking breaks, helping out, wandering/people watching, having an escape plan, staying for a fixed time, and accepting that you won't enjoy every party. The author discusses how introverts view and handle social interaction differently. They weigh invitations carefully, say no when needed, mentally distance themselves from boring people, and sometimes have a drink to feel more extroverted. However, relying too much on any strategy could indicate an underlying issue. Moderation and self-reflection are key. Introverts may view situations very differently from extroverts. Reading the newspaper together is cozy for introverts, but tragic for some extroverts. Introverts see excessively talkative people as strange, while extroverts see reading together as antisocial. Perception depends a lot on personality. Introverts prefer quieter, solitary activities for fun, like reading, hiking, and long chats with friends. Extrovert fun is more participatory, exhibitionistic, and social. Introverts should not feel shamed into pretending to enjoy typically extroverted activities. Both types can enjoy what they find genuinely fun. In summary, extroverts may seem happier and more successful socially and professionally, but introverts have their paths to happiness and success. Introverts view the world differently, recharge in solitude, socialize selectively, and find calm enjoyment in contemplative activities. Rather than comparing introvert and extrovert traits, it's best to understand and respect these fundamental differences. Both personality types can achieve well-being in their ways. Enjoy solitude and peace, but don't isolate yourself completely. Balance alone time with social interaction. Having connections is essential for well-being. Communicate clearly about your needs while also respecting others. Explain your preference for less interaction, but try to respond to people who matter. Flaking frequently damages relationships. Ease into meaningful conversations and connections gradually. Don't plunge into deep sharing immediately, as that can be off-putting. Chit-chat and build slowly. Pay attention to social cues to avoid oversharing or talking excessively. Learn to pause and check if others are still engaged. Rushing intimacy is off-putting. Do set limits and speak up to protect your needs. But also push yourself outside your comfort zone at times to avoid stagnation. Finding the right balance is critical. Look for meaningful connections over superficial ones. Quality over quantity. But any interaction is better than none. There are many successful introverts, so don't let stereotypes hold you back. You have to find what works for you. Be your authentic self. Mindfulness and meditation help strengthen awareness of surroundings and presence. Introverts tend to be mindful, but not mindful. Practice helps. Compromise when in relationships with extroverts. Explain your needs, but be willing to participate in some social interaction. Find shared ground and balance together and alone time. You have unique qualities to offer, so believe in yourself and don't apologize for who you are. Show your strengths and gifts in your way. Let your introverted nature shine through. The author values solitude and alone time, which enhances her productivity and creativity. She finds excessive social interaction and small talk draining. She argues introverts, while enjoying some social interaction, tend to be selective in relationships and friends. The author criticizes the tendency to stereotype and measure extroversion and introversion on scales that promote a hierarchical view of extroverts as superior. She argues solitude and aloneness are vital for well-being, though often misunderstood by extroverts. Different introverts have different social needs. Some introverts do okay with small doses of interaction, while others prefer less. The author argues against stereotyping all introverts as antisocial or loners. Introverts can enjoy social interaction, but at a slower pace and in limited amounts. They prefer deeper relationships over casual socializing. While productivity and creativity are enhanced through solitude for the author, she also values social interaction and relationships. She is finding the right balance between social and alone time. Navigating relationships with extroverts requires mutual understanding and compromise. The author criticizes measures that frame extroversion as better than introversion and introverts as lacking or inferior. She argues introverts and extroverts have different needs and preferences, but both can live happy, meaningful lives. However, introverts require more solitude and quiet to function at their best, while extroverts recharge through stimulation and social interaction. In summary, the author values both social interaction and solitude. As an introvert, privacy enhances her productivity and well-being. However, she also enjoys relationships and socializing at a slower pace and in a more limited, selective manner than extroverts typically prefer. The key is finding the right balance and compromise between introverted and extroverted needs. Neither preference is inherently better nor worse. Both ways of being are standard and can lead to a life of meaning, joy, and connection, but they function differently and require different environments to thrive.